Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and this is going to be a brief little review for Sword Art Online, Episode 20. Really kick-ass episode, I have to say. We're pretty much picking up right where we left off, with Kirito leading Leafa through those underground caverns at a speed that would frankly put the Flash to shame if he existed in ALO. But when they get past all those enemies and out the other side of this big mountain range, essentially Leafa voices her concern that they're not going to make it in time to stop the Salamander's attack on this grand sort of peaceful accord that's trying to be reached between the Sylph and the Kate Sith. And both of those leaders, once the forces are there by just a matter of minutes ahead of Leafa and Kirito, both these leaders, Sakuya and Lu, are looking up at these forces wondering what the hell is going on. And of course we see that just in the nick of time to bounce off one of the volleys, the very first volley of the Salamander forces. Kirito and Leafa land right there. And you have Kirito just being a total badass. He is totally pimping it out. He wants the leader of the Salamander forces to come out and face him. And when the guy shows himself, he's full of bravado of his own. Basically he's telling Kirito he's going to kill him. This is General Eugene. We find out he is the brother of the Salamander Force leader Mortimer, and also said to be one of the, if not the toughest guys in all of ALO. I mean, he's rating 950 when it comes to power rating and stuff like that. So you have this grand face-off between Kirito, who's not going to back down, and he ends up bluffing this guy that essentially he's there as an ambassador for the Undyne Spriggan Alliance. I loved this line because he's just pulling this out of his ass. He's completely making this up to buy some time. But of course this guy Eugene, he appreciates the bravado that Kirito is showing, but he's not going to give him the time of day. He's going to take him out if he can. And what ensues is one of my favorite just animated battles, epic in scope, between these two guys since the beginning of the series. I just loved this whole battle. And a lot of that comes down to the fact that I really thought it could go either way. I haven't read the light novels, so I didn't know what to expect, whether Kirito was going to win this battle or not. And when you see Eugene utilizing this blade tactic where he basically allows his sword to phase through his opponent's weapon so that he can make them avoid blocking and so forth, I really thought this battle could go, favorably toward Eugene and just be completely a loss for Kirito. But of course Kirito, he uses this tactic like the smoke bomb. I don't know what the effect was called, but he goes down and he steals Leafa's sword and he like Supermans it up all the way up into the clouds and then comes back down full on strike. And I mean, he just unleashes hell on Eugene, taking this guy out with every bit as might as Eugene never would have expected. So once this whole affair is said and done and everything's been explained to Sakuya and Lu, they basically confront Eugene once again and they ask him, Kirito asks him, do you believe my story? Do you believe that I'm here for an alliance between the Undynes and the Spriggans? And again, this is completely made up, a complete falsity from Kirito, but one of the guys that's serving under Eugene comes over and says that this guy and this girl, Kirito and Leafa, they're the two that took my party out just yesterday. So this basically gives Eugene some perspective that, this might actually be true. I better dial it back for now. And, you can tell that he is very ominous in his consideration of this. He definitely takes it personally when it comes to Kirito, and he even says, we're going to meet again. And I love how Kirito was just joyous over that. Rather than being an SAO, where it was very much a life and death game, this is more, for fun. He's taking this for fun. I absolutely love that he got a kick out of the idea that, hey, this guy Eugene, he's a badass and he wants to fight me again. Some of these guys are awesome, that kind of thing. It was just hilarious. And adding to that, the hilarity that ensues when essentially Sakuya and Lu try to put the moves on Kirito. They think he's a badass and they're both offering him dinner and all of that stuff. I just thought that was hilarious. Of course, Leafa's getting jealous, and there are people out there who don't like that whole dynamic, but it is kind of funny even though they are cousins and so forth. And I thought it was made more hilarious even when Yui comes out after they've sent Sakuya and Lu off with, a bunch of new goodies and stuff that Kirito basically hands them over, and they're talking about all reaching the world tree together and that kind of thing. And Yui was being all scolding, telling him his heart rate was racing, and what did I tell you about cheating, Daddy, and that kind of thing. It was absolutely hilarious. And of course we have Leafa like, well, aren't I a threat? Kirito just lets it be known, hey, you're a friend, you're not quite a girl like those other women and stuff like that. But, I mean, it's all in fun. He's still really about Asuna, and that's the brass tacks of the situation. And, of course, one of the big things that came out of this whole situation was Sakuya, the leader of the Sylph, basically going back to Sigurd, the guy who, sort of was a defector of the Sylphan party, essentially she let this guy go. She called him on all his business, his ill deeds, and I wonder how this all is going to play into the whole situation, whether this goes back to Sugo or not. Are General Eugene and Sigurd working together? Are they working together for a purpose like unrelated to Sugo entirely, or does this all relate back to him? Because as I was speculating in my last video, I was saying, could it be that these guys are working to keep a perpetual war machine in motion in the game, since that seems to be the only aspect that Sugo has it set up for anyone to win. Of course, he is the Dark Lord Oberon, or whatever he's calling himself, up at the top of the world tree, and he's got it set up so expertly that nobody, as long as these, different races in the game don't side up together, nobody's ever going to beat it. Nobody's ever going to reach him and uncover all the things that he's doing. And I think some of that might even be beyond someone who could potentially beat the game. But the fact of the matter is, it's set up that way. So again, I have to speculate that Sigurd and Eugene could be working in line with Sugo. And another thing that's fairly ominous is something that Sakuya outlines, a 5.0 patch that's going to be placed in line with this game and can allow players to actually be reincarnated as other races and such. And this being the motivation for Sigurd, once again, that 5.0 patch, what else could be involved with that? Is that something relating to what Sugo outlined to Asuna in a previous episode about him using an algorithm that could modify people's minds and such like that? I wonder if that's in play with this whole situation. And of course, talking of Asuna, the last shot of the episode was really, really awesome and just inspired me with hope. Essentially, she uses Sugo's code and gets out of that cage. Now, you only see her take like 1 or 2 steps, and then boom, that's the end of the episode. So I don't know if she actually successfully gets out and has a meeting up with Kirito and Leafa or not. Where this goes, I really have no idea. But once again, this episode was stellar, kicked a lot of ass, and I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of it. Post your thoughts. As usual, anyone who's been following the light novels, is this sticking closely still with it, or is this, sort of diverging in any means? And post that without any spoilers, of course. And otherwise, that's pretty much going to be it from me on this one. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.